Sorry for the short technical problem. I'm Marek Jeziorek. Marek is Jeziorek, actually. Now that I'm in Poland, I can properly pronounce it in Polish. Behdad and I are working for one of the many Google teams that work on fonts. We are working on the Noto team, basically the team that deals with the Noto fonts, and we deal also with the tools, not only for Noto, but any other font also. We are publishing everything also on the GitHub. In a way, it's a fourth homecoming for me. I was born here. I went to schools here. Last one was University of Warsaw. I studied informatics here. I left. Students in Poland have over 3 months of vacation. So I left Poland in 1976 for vacation in the USA. I stayed there, and I'm still enjoying my vacation there. I joined Google a while ago, actually October of 2004, so it will be 12 years. However, I joined the Noto team and Font Tools team about a year ago. I'm a technical program manager, and I have to admit I knew nothing about fonts when I joined. So when you ask questions, I will probably point at Behdad or other team members that are present here. But it's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and I've been learning ever since on the job, but I know there is still much more. Google, our team basically is comprised of 9 people. Behdad, our product manager, team manager, I, and how many? I think 6 engineers total. We are sponsored by the 2 organizations within Google, basically Chrome OS and Android. So basically they are paying for our project. And the reason is that Google wants to reach out to the next, it's 1 billion, but this is oriented for US market, so 1,000 million basically, 1,000 million, next 1,000 million users. Most likely these users are from different countries that do not use either Latin, nor Greek, nor Cyrillic, meaning that we want to reach even to much smaller populations like 200,000 native language speakers. And the Noto stands for No More Tofu. Basically on the left-hand side, you can see the rectangles. That's tofu. I think it is Buganese, but I'm not sure. We want to make sure that every language that we can reach to has a representation and will be visible on Android or Chrome OS. Noto status. We have planned 100+ scripts. We intend to serve about 800 languages with these 100+ scripts. Excuse me, I'm going to reach for water. I realize that I can. In addition, we need to produce sans serif, serif UI, and serif. We are planning to cover Unicode standard up to 9. But beyond this, there will be much more than next year. I expect Unicode 10 and so on. So this is, Noto is a living font family. Once we are done with the font, or even when things are in progress, we are posting them on GitHub. So this is where you can find us. You will ask how a group of 6 engineers and 3 manager-like people can develop 100 scripts that cover 800 languages. The answer is we do not, personally. We work, these scripts also, the objective for these scripts is that they have to be consistent, have a consistent look and feel. And we do not do it ourselves. We work with partners. These are our partners. Basically for CJK, we work with Adobe. For every other else or every other script, we work with Monotype. However, they also work with, they do not, sometimes they develop in-house, but most of the time they go outside. So we work with many, many independent font designers and developers. I wanted to present sort of a slide on the life of a font. It starts with the upper left corner, where we get a font design proposal. Basically what this means is we are getting PDF with some alternatives. We review it. If we feel that we need a correction, we send back to the basically developer or to the partner that we work with, and there is an iteration, next iteration. However, if we are done, whenever we are done, we get the first delivery of the font, then we need to test it, build it, and when we are done, we are shipping it again to GitHub. In terms of design review, as I said, we are getting PDF. We do not have experts. I mean, Google has some font experts, but they do not work within our team. Therefore, the ideal review is when we get a proposal from a font designer, we send it to somebody else who is an expert in this area. And basically, in our case, we work closely with Tyro Typeworks, John Hudson, and in turn, if he knows the font or he works with somebody that knows the font under review, he will provide the review. Otherwise, he will go out and reach out externally. Also, what I do is because Google has over 60,000 employees at this point, we have lots of people that come from many countries, and I'm going to send out, I always send out surveys to them. And we ask questions for style assessment, Noto look and feel, readability. And in most of the cases, we got some response, but I couldn't find any CAM speakers, and there are for some languages, for some scripts, it's more difficult. The other thing about Google employees is they are not font designers, so sometimes they raise spurious issues. So we need to basically do some review of their responses. Once we are done with the font design, we get the first delivery of the font. For most of the fonts, we get sources, meaning glyphs files from our partner. And we run pipeline. Behdad will talk about the pipeline and about building the fonts. So this is just an introduction, and he'll cover more this in the details. But as I said, once we build the font, our partners do a great job because before they send fund to us, they do their own testing. However, because our name, Noto name, is on this, we also want to do our own testing. So we to do testing, we deliver OTF for testing again to Tyro, Typeworks, John Hudson, who goes out also to many other people, many fun designers. Or I need to generate samples, and I send to Googlers. Googlers are some of the 60,000 Google employees that hopefully provide me with some feedback on it. Build and test. Basically, as I said, 100 scripts, 800 languages, many glyphs, OTF, TTF, plus variation fonts. Right now, we have 29 sources that we build into 638 TTF files. If you wanted to export using manually from glyphs, it would take me forever. Testing also is a challenge. That's the reason why we build the pipeline. So basically, as I said, that solution to this kind of huge amount of scripts, a huge amount of glyphs is our tools. And Behdad will talk about the tools. I wanted to give a shout out to the team, basically. You know, or you will meet in a second Behdad, but also we have James here. Who else? I am here, and again, you heard Sasha's name. Sasha Brower is also here. So if you have any questions about our tools or about the pipeline, feel free to grab us. For now, Behdad, you are it.
Do you need this back? Or?
No.
No, don't look. Okay, I love following others because then I can briefly talk for 5 minutes and open up. So this story for me started about 3 years ago when for the Google Fonts team, I helped them develop a subsidiary, a font subsidiary that knows how to handle open type layout and other fancier, newer features of fonts. And font tools was a bit underdeveloped back then, so I started developing it. And so there was font tools that was written in Python, and then there was all the UFO tools, RoboFab, and well, all the other things that were developed about this UFO open font format. And for me, the breakthrough was 2 years ago at ATypI. I actually made a presentation about font tools back then, and I just jumped to the end. Yeah, and for future work, you notice I had better input, feature files or UFO. And I also happened to say the sentence that we just keep developing whatever we need because Adobe's tools are not open source. And then Dave Lemon told me that he has some good news for me, and he presented that they open sourced the AFDKO, and then mutator math was also announced. So I walked out of ATypI 2014 with two insights. One of them was, this is stupid, we should do all this interpolation at runtime. And that's how, for us, the journey to variation funds started. And the other one was, well, now that AFDKO is open source, we can take whatever missing piece we need, and then we have a full pipeline and develop the rest. So, yes. And then, back then, all of this was a speculation for me. Whereas after I decided that I want to make variable fonts, I figured that, okay, for Noto, I actually need sources. Because before that, what we were getting was binaries for regular and bold. And if we were to do anything fancy, we needed more than that. And that was exactly the time that we were renewing contracts for the next phase of Noto, mostly to extend weight and coverage. But I jumped in and said, make sure we get sources, and they are interpolation compatible. And it took some time to agree on how that will work, because as far as we understand, foundries don't do that. They produce funds, not deliver sources that someone else wants to build. So we had to figure out the details. And specifically, we wanted UFO and Adobe feature file for open-type features, because those are the common open formats. Whereas our partners, Monotype mostly, said, oh, we just moved every designer to glyph. And we said, well, that doesn't work, because glyph is Mac only and proprietary, and doesn't have like batch processing. And I talked to Jeziorek, see if we can get his help, at least open sourcing glyphs to UFO converters so we can convert and continue. Well, we agreed that we just do it ourselves, and that's how we developed glyph. Lib was born, and we figured, okay, we convert glyphs to UFO, and then there's this RoboFab stuff. It knows opens UFO, and then there's some other libraries to export files. So that's where we started. And then around the same time, James also joined our team, and he started actually trying to put the pieces together. So he pulled in UFO to FDK, which is a Python library, converts UFO to exports binaries, but internally it's still calling to Adobe's binary. So it does some Python work, calls a big fat binary, gets the output, and then does more processing. So we started with that, and then started wanting to replace the big chunk of C code with more maintainable Python piece by piece, right? That helps. So at the time, one of the biggest parts of AFDKO's tool that we didn't have a replacement for was compiling the feature files. So when Sasha joined the team, one of the biggest project I figured I can offload to someone else was to write a feature file compiler. And he did that, and he moved on to other things. And then another missing piece was overlap removal. That's one of the things that AFDKO didn't open source. And I noticed that at one of the RoboFab conferences, Frederick announced, like, presented Boolean operations, and we figured through it. We now have the two biggest missing pieces. So monotype, some monotype designers said, well, no. We don't know how to, we don't want to be bothered to write Adobe feature files. We have our own format. It's like font chef or whatever. We said, okay, at least give us a spec and open source it. So they released an specification, and we implemented that one as an alternative to feature files. And then since mutator math was open source, and originally the whole goal was to do interpolation, James integrated mutator math into the mix and started generating instances. And then we want TrueType and OTF. So again, we came up with a very simple and elegant algorithm. James added that one. Now he had TrueType output as well. And then about this time, other people like Adrian and Cosimo and other community members started like paying more attention, and we figured out how to work with Just and Eric and others again. And so, long story short, we removed RoboFab, converted everything to DEFCON, and we also, well, someone talked about the CFF subroutinization earlier before. We also happen to have an implementation of that from like four years ago. I had an intern do that, and for the first time we started using it. And then, of course, TTF auto hint for TrueType hinting. So we put all these things, and all the missing pieces were now in place, except for there was no top-level thing to pull it out together. And that's what James did with FontMake. So FontMake is a command line tool. You can think of it as like a make for software, FontMake for fonts. It takes your sources, it takes like glyphs or UFOs. It can take a design space file, or currently those are the formats. And then does all these things, does the convert glyphs to UFO, interpolate, compile the feature files, remove overlaps if desired, convert to quadratic, compress it, auto-hint it, and generate binaries. So that's what Marek uses to export from 29 sources over 1,000 fonts. And Cosimo produced this image for me to use. It doesn't show the TTF auto, it only shows the Python modules. Oh, why am I not? Okay. However, until recently, like up to a few months ago, more often it looked like this. Because we were developing this pipeline all the time, pushing the changes out, and continually breaking the whole thing, the whole finished product. So Marek's job was a hell of a getting the thing to work, because we developers, we just wanted to write new code and fix bugs here and there. We couldn't possibly rerun the pipeline on all the sources, every change, and make sure it works. That's where, well, Sasha contributed a lot by making writing tests being more of a normal habit. James and Cosimo worked together to integrate continuous integration, which is like whenever we push a change out, it triggers an open source project called Travis to get all the pieces together and run the test and report the status. And then eventually, I think one of the best decisions was James made it that FontMake uses specific known good versions of all these pieces. So every time we manually update those dependencies, we know that this is of a minimum quality and it's been tested. So the challenge is dependency hell again, same thing, like there's 12 different missing pieces. Every time Eric fixes something, or Cosimo changes, or I change something, someone's code might be broken, and we are trying to address those by these things, testing and continuous integration. Stability, speed is a problem. Most of this is in Python. Only the very slow parts are done in C. And right now it's embarrassingly slow. But that's not the point. The point was we chose Python because it's much faster for development. And font tools are such a niche that there's not many people interested in writing code for these things. So we have to do with the handful of people that we have. And flexibility. Right now, it's a hard-coded pipeline. It takes multiple kinds of input and multiple kinds of output, but in the end, it's a fixed pipeline, and we want to address that in the future. Variations, I've been experimenting with it and pushing code out. It's not integrated in FontMake itself, but FontMake knows how to output compatible TTF that we then feed to this other tool. And then we also need to integrate the CFF work into it. Adobe is working on that, and we are working together. And then CFF operator special is another optimization technique for CFF we don't have. And then I think the biggest part of AFDKO, the only part that we don't have replacements for yet is the CFF auto hinter. So I see that someone should extract that and put it into the module so we can call it. And here's a list of everything, and that's all of what I had. Thank you.
So we do have time for a question or two. Do you have any questions?
Well, they cut off my video. Yes, keep it.
Okay. Any questions?
Or here.
All right, go grab some coffee, but try to get back here for 3:45 if you can, because we've got 5 talks in 40 minutes. Oh, no, an hour and 40 minutes. And we want to try and get through. So yeah, try and get back here for 3:45, and we'll keep going then. All right, thanks.
Thank
Thank you.